Imagine a war so brief, you could blink and miss it. A war shorter than an episode of your favorite show, yet powerful enough to change an entire nation's fate. Just 38 minutes of thunder, smoke, and surrender. This is the story of the shortest war ever fought, the Anglo-Zanzibar War. To understand how such a lightning-fast conflict erupted, we must travel back to the late 19th century, to the sun-drenched, spice-scented island of Zanzibar, floating off the coast of East Africa. For centuries, this island had been a jewel of trade, famous for its cloves, ivory, and tragically, human lives. It was the bridge between Africa, Arabia, and the Indian Ocean, a place where fortunes were made and lost. But as European empires carved up Africa like a chess, Zanzibar became more than just a trading hub. It became a prize. Before we dive deeper into this fascinating tale of power and betrayal, make sure to subscribe to the channel and hit the bell icon, so you never miss more cinematic stories from history's most dramatic moments. By 1890, the British had maneuvered their way into dominance through the Heligoland-Zanzibar Treaty, turning the island into what was effectively a British protectorate. The Sultan, at the time, Hamad bin Thuwaini, was cooperative, a ruler the British could trust to keep order and maintain their influence. But that fragile calm shattered one August morning in 1896, when Sultan Hamad was found dead, suddenly and mysteriously. No one could prove it, but whispers of poison filled the air. Before the dust had even settled, his cousin, Khalid bin Barghash, seized the throne. Without waiting for British approval, he marched into the royal palace, raised the Sultan's flag, and declared himself ruler. To the British, this was not just defiance, it was rebellion. Khalid had a reputation for ambition and resistance to foreign control, and his bold move crossed every imperial line. The British consul, Basil Cave, wasted no time. He demanded that Khalid step down immediately, but Khalid refused. Instead, he fortified the palace, called in nearly 2,800 armed supporters, and prepared for the showdown he believed he could win. Meanwhile, the British moved fast. 3 warships sailed into Zanzibar's harbour: HMS St. George, HMS Philomel, and HMS Raccoon. On land, 150 British sailors and marines set up artillery and Gatling guns, their barrels pointed squarely at the palace. The message was clear: surrender, or be destroyed. By sunset on August 26th, an ultimatum was delivered. Khalid had until 9 a.m. the next morning to leave the palace or face British firepower. The clock began ticking, and the tropical air grew thick with tension. As dawn painted the skies over the Indian Ocean, silence gripped the harbour. The British crews were at battle stations, waiting for the signal. Inside the palace, Khalid refused to yield. His men tightened their grip on their rifles, cannons aimed out to sea, hearts pounding. At 8 a.m., the British sent one final warning. Still, no response. Then, at exactly 9:02 a.m., the order came. A deafening boom shattered the morning calm. HMS St. George opened fire. Shells tore through the palace walls, sending splinters of wood and clouds of smoke skyward. Within minutes, the grand wooden palace, once a symbol of royal pride, was engulfed in flames. Khalid's forces returned fire from the royal yacht, Glasgow, and palace cannons, but their shots went wide and weak. The British ships, relentless and precise, reduced the yacht to a sinking wreck within minutes. Chaos consumed the palace grounds. Defenders scattered, some crushed beneath collapsing walls, others gunned down by the rapid-fire Gatlings. The air was thick with smoke, screams, and the thunder of artillery. By 9:40 a.m., just 38 minutes after the first shot, silence fell. The shortest war in history was over. The aftermath was devastating for Zanzibar. More than 500 Zanzibaris lay dead or wounded, most of them palace guards who never stood a chance. The British losses? Just one injured sailor. Khalid bin Barghash fled the ruins through a back passage, seeking refuge in the German consulate, a move that left the British fuming. Bound by diplomatic immunity, they couldn't touch him. Weeks later, the Germans quietly smuggled Khalid out aboard the SMS Sea, taking him to safety in Dar es Salaam, German East Africa. The British wasted no time installing a new sultan, Hamad bin Mohammed, a ruler more to their liking. Under him, Zanzibar's independence was little more than a formality. The island officially became a British protectorate in both law and spirit. Sultan Hamad abolished slavery, a long overdue reform, but Zanzibar's freedom was gone. It was now another link in Britain's imperial chain stretching across the globe. The Anglo-Zanzibar War may have lasted less than an hour, but its message echoed across continents. It was a brutal demonstration of the empire's might, swift, merciless, and absolute. A signal to the world that any defiance, no matter how small or symbolic, would be crushed under the weight of British power. In the years that followed, the event faded from public memory, overshadowed by larger, bloodier conflicts. Yet it remains a chilling reminder of how power was wielded in the age of empires, through gunfire and intimidation rather than diplomacy. A sultanate that had thrived for centuries was brought to its knees before the morning tea had even cooled. When you think about it, history doesn't always hinge on decade-long wars or grand alliances. Sometimes it changes in less than an hour. In just 38 minutes, Zanzibar's destiny was rewritten, not by armies clashing across continents, but by the roar of cannons across a quiet harbor. So, next time you hear the phrase, short and decisive, remember this war, the one that began and ended before the clock struck 10. A war fought not for land, but for dominance. A war that proved empires didn't need time to win, just power. And that, perhaps, is why even today, more than a century later, the Anglo-Zanzibar War remains unforgettable, not for its length, but for what it symbolized, the ruthless precision of empire and the haunting truth that sometimes history's greatest battles are the briefest ones. And before you go, don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon, because more untold moments from history are coming your way soon.